This $160 million science fiction monster movie was released on May 16, 2014, almost 60 years after the titular beast made his first appearance in Japanese cinema. The fifth American installment of the iconic franchise, and the 33rd picture overall, scored a very strong $93 million opening weekend. Thankfully though, it's also substantially better than the lackluster 1998 version with Mathew Broderick. Having grown up with the films as a kid, director Gareth Edwards takes special care to portray the 350-foot-tall monster as authentically and faithfully to its source material as possible. Stylized as redacted government documents, the opening credits show flashbacks of atomic testing in the 1950s, which we learned later was actually humanity's attempt to subdue the giant creature. The 123-minute film then presents the familiar tale of mankind versus the monsters that they foolishly awaken with their scientific curiosity. One of those scientists is the incredibly talented Bryan Cranston, who drives the film's emotional prologue with a brilliant performance. It's a familiar setup for these types of stories, but the 3-time Emmy winner makes it work. Sadly, however, we don't see much of him after that, and the PG-13 rated picture definitely suffers as a result.
Are we at full function?
Yes, we are. But perhaps we should be drawing down to be safe.
You take us offline.
Now, Joe, we gotta
Do it now. Wind it down. Sandra. Sandra.
We're turning back. Let's go. Oh my God.
In his first substantial starring role, Aaron Taylor Johnson isn't particularly convincing as a bomb disposal expert in the US Navy, nor is he charismatic as the traveling husband of the extremely underused Elizabeth Olsen, who plays his gorgeous wife. To be fair though, Taylor Johnson isn't really given much to do either. His character only serves as an eyepiece for the audience to view the devastation around him. In fact, this metaphor is solidified when we literally watch Godzilla destroy San Francisco through Aaron's foggy goggles during a high-altitude skydiving jump. Ken Watanabe, Sally Hawkins, and David Strathairn all have pivotal roles as well, but are only utilized to deliver lots of exposition, including this poignant warning from Watanabe: the arrogance of man is thinking nature is in their control, and not the other way around. With such mammoth possibilities, this picture had the opportunity to put Roland Emmerich's destruction-laden movies to shame, but every dark and spatially confusing sequence makes it difficult to tell what's happening, and the nighttime lighting obscures all of the coolest action. In particular, a scene involving a precarious train crossing on a towering mountain bridge had the potential to be terrifying and suspenseful, but since the geographic relationship between the humans and the monster was kind of unclear, there wasn't much tension here. Given the absurd circumstances of this universe, the execution of giant monsters rising from the sea to battle each other is handled with a fair amount of realism, even if pulling a 9mm pistol on a building-sized dinosaur is the most laughable decision I've ever seen a character do. The exquisitely handled visual effects make it all look remarkably realistic as well, with the ferocious title character taking center stage. Meanwhile, Alexandre Desplat contributes a looming and ominous score throughout the high-stakes action. Special mention goes to the cinematography, which despite being dark and cloudy when you'd simply prefer to see what is happening, is otherwise incredibly beautiful and artistic, especially the aforementioned halo jump, backlit by the glowing amber of a ruined city. The loud sound effects that brings the creatures to life is also rather impressive. Their long and sustained roars are unnerving and frightening. Contrary to Godzilla's underwater home though, this movie unfortunately lacks any depth. But if you want to see the king of the monsters absolutely wreak havoc, you could certainly do worse than this enjoyable and rewatchable experience. Godzilla, characters forgotten amid monster mayhem. Now let's check out some of your opinions on this movie. Lots of votes and reviews for this one, but your scores average to an 8, whereas I'll give it a 7. Most criticize the empty story, but love the effects and battles. You thought it was great. As far as monster movies go, this one is a real treat and a proper return to form for the decades-old franchise. But as far as compelling cinema goes, this picture lacks quite a bit. I thought it was cool.